This winter, Investigation with Dr. T returns for a new season called Our Partners, Building Bridges, Delivering Justice. We're going to spotlight our extraordinary partners. These are professionals and agencies who keep our communities safe and shape the future of justice. At NSU's School of Criminal Justice, learning doesn't stop at textbooks. Our students learn from real professionals in the field. These are leaders who are doing the work. They're driving innovation and they're guiding the next generation into meaningful, lifelong careers. So my guests are going to include veterans who help veterans, local and federal law enforcement leaders, police academy trainers, public defenders and state attorneys, mental health and specialty court judges, United Way of Broward County practitioners, and forensic technology experts. This season, each episode is going to offer authentic conversations, real-world insights, and a front-row look at the careers that shape justice in our communities. Join me Thursday evenings, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard, starting January 8th on the Fischler College of Education and School of Criminal Justice YouTube channel. We're going to spotlight the power of our partnerships, the strength of community, and the career-ready education that sets NSU apart. And I'm so excited tonight to welcome one of our great partners, United Way of Broward County, and our dear friend and colleague, Jenna Stein. Jenna Stein is a lead prevention specialist with United Way, and I want to spotlight her right now so that everybody can see her. There she is. And so welcome to Investigation with Dr. T. We're live streaming from the Fischler College of Education and School of Criminal Justice YouTube channel at Nova Southeastern University. I'm Dr. Grace Telesco, and today we're shining a spotlight on something that truly drives meaningful change in our communities. It's partnership and action. Public safety and community well-being don't happen in silos. They happen when organizations and agencies and community leaders come together with a shared mission to support families, strengthen neighborhoods, and create pathways to stability and success. So today's conversation is going to focus on the critical role that United Way of Broward County has in helping build safer, stronger, and more resilient communities across our region. As we welcome Miss Jenna Stein, Lead Prevention Specialist with United Way of Broward County, the United Way Broward Coalition on Behavioral Health and Drug Prevention. Later in the program, we're going to bring on Dr. Maria Levy-Minzy, Associate Professor and Lead Faculty for the MHS in Child Protection, who's been working with United Way of Broward County for many years and has collaborated with me and Jenna on numerous programs. But let me tell you a little bit about Jenna. I want to brag on her, okay? So Jenna Stein is a credentialed prevention specialist certified by the Florida Certification Board. She currently serves as Lead Prevention Specialist with the United Way Broward's Coalition on Behavioral Health and Drug Prevention, formerly the United Way of Broward County. Okay, so now I got that. I made a mistake when I said that. I have it embedded in my head, United Way of Broward County, but it is the United Way Broward's Coalition on Behavioral Health and Drug Prevention. She oversees prevention initiatives, leads youth programs, including the Broward Youth Coalition and Youth Action Team. She is a graduate of SUNY. Yay, New York is in the house, Maria. See, Dr. Levy's from New York too. She's a graduate of SUNY. She's passionate about empowering young people to make positive choices and become leaders in the community. She's no stranger to coalition work, bringing nearly 2 decades of experiences in the fields of behavioral health, substance use prevention, and youth engagement. Welcome, 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 Jenna. It's so good to have you here. Thank you for being here with us. I want to give you a minute to just kind of like whatever your thoughts are about being here with us tonight, and then we'll launch into the first question.
Thank you so much for inviting me back. It's such a privilege and an honor. And I'm just really glad to be here. Thank you for all your kind words.
Excellent. And, like just kind of off script, working with Jenna is just so easy and so awesome. And like we're of one mind. And, like I think that some of our planning meetings, they're so easy because we both what between Jenna and me and Maria, I mean, we just really click well, and it's such a collegial collaboration, and I love it. So thank you again for saying yes to being on the show. I wanted to make sure that I spotlight United Way because it's such a great partner. We actually had won a grant with Maria Levy and I. And I think it was Tara Jungerson also from the College of Psychology was on that, and United Way was our big partner. So we really appreciate you. We appreciate the agency and all of the great work, especially in this time where it feels like there's a lot of tension between groups, between people, between politicians, this and that. No matter which way you turn, it feels tense. But the work that United Way does is the beautiful medicine that we need, in my opinion. So let's start with the first question. Your role. So, can you tell our viewers a little bit about what your role is at United Way and what your day-to-day work typically looks like?
Excellent question. And I couldn't agree more how the three of us work so well together. And that is so important on what my day-to-day looks like because most of my job is all about collaboration, taking all the key partners in Broward County and bringing them together. And it's important to note that my work is coalition work. And there's actually only about a handful, maybe five or less coalitions that are part of United Way. So I'm really fortunate and grateful that we have such a special coalition. But there are thousands of nonprofit coalitions all throughout the world that also work on the same mission, which is substance use prevention and mental health awareness, because of course that goes hand in hand. And so how my amazing organization does it is we have our main coalition, which is Board of Governors, which you have to be voted into. And then we have our action teams, and each action team works as its own coalition. And everyone, including everyone who's on here right now, is welcome to join one of our action teams. So I'm not going to go into too many details about them all. I'm just going to quickly note them because you could visit our website, drugfreebroward.org, to get more details and to join them. Each one has its own monthly meeting or maybe every other month meeting. So my day-to-day really relies on communications with the partners, event planning, and setting up for our meetings, which include guest speakers. So quickly to go over our action teams, we have data is most important, which we're going to talk a little bit later with Dr. Maria. But we have what's called our community response team, surveillance and solutions. They're the ones that really go into the data. Then we have mental health promotion action team, which incorporates our Be Healthy Broward initiative. We have youth action team, which I'm really happy to be the liaison for. I'm also the liaison for the Broward Youth Coalition, which consists of middle and high school students. Then we have really important that Broward is so diverse. So we have our Latino initiative action team, which puts together events in Spanish. Then we have our Creole initiative action team, which puts together events in Haitian Creole. And then one of our last is our faith-based, community-based advisory board, because it's so important to include that. And then we also have some other initiatives, such as our Broward Suicide Prevention Coalition and United for Seniors. So we work with people, whether they are 5 years old. Well, actually, we even want to start younger. We actually say we want to talk to people when they're in the womb. So we work with people that are not even born yet to over 100 years old. And I think that's important to realize that we do substance use prevention, mental health awareness, all across the spectrum of the age.
Awesome. Wow. That's a mouthful. Right. Wow. Could you explain a little bit more about, like, when you say we work with people before they're even born? I have like this image in my mind of like this like angel, this little cherub in heaven that you're communicating with. Could you tell our viewers and our students who are watching a little bit more in depth about how do you do that, and what is the purpose and goal of that? How do you actually do outreach? in that way?
Great question. So for the first question, we partner with different organizations that's all that they do is like focus on prenatal. So I don't particularly do that, but I partner with other organizations that do. But one thing, for example, is it's so important to realize that when someone is pregnant, everything that they do affects their baby. So it's really important that they know that smoking, marijuana, and alcohol could negatively affect if you do those things. So that's one example. We have so many different campaigns, awareness for pregnant women just to know the harmful effects. And so we've even taken that campaign, like I said, in different languages. Just know the facts basically is part of our campaign. And the coalition work I do is focused on universal prevention. So there's different kinds of prevention, and I really love doing universal prevention, and that incorporates the focus of all age groups. So my focus is a little more on middle and high school students, but and that incorporates science. So I talk a lot about brain development. So your brain isn't fully developed until around the age of 25. Research now says closer to 26, 27 even. And
Wow.
there's differences whether you were born male or female as well, because the hormone levels, how that affects your brain. So we do a lot of science and talking about your brain health. There's even a Project Brain is actually one of the we partner with Broward County Public School, and it's just a campaign just talking about that.
Wow.
Um,
That's why it's so important to educate and raise awareness for young people, especially adolescents, about the use of marijuana and how that can really impact development at the age of 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old, how that can really impact alcohol as well. But it just seems as though it almost feels like, getting gummies today are easier than even purchasing alcohol if you're underage. Am I right?
and that's one of the really major things that we want to bring awareness about is the harmful effects of edibles. And that when you're prescribed something, so just talking about medical marijuana, it's prescribed to someone. So you wouldn't take any other medication that's not prescribed to you. And we want to remember the same thing for marijuana. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, there's so many different important things that rely on that. And one thing about universal prevention that is so important that I want to make sure to mention to everyone is they say, and this is all over the internet. Could ask AI that it's verified that every dollar you spend in prevention is saving $20 down the line for treatment or recovery. So
Yes.
every educational message that you spend a dollar towards, you're really saving $20 down the line.
Yes. Yes. Great. Wow. Well, we could go on a whole. I just had this idea of like a whole episode on edibles and its impact, and alcohol and its impact. And we kind of take these things for granted. It's like they're innocuous, they're benign. It's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. But yeah, you really might want to worry about it. And I think that Dr. Levy Minzy has done a lot of research in this area. So later on, when we bring her on, she can maybe weigh in on it. But let me move into if you can walk us through a recent project or program that you've worked on that you really feel reflects the mission of United Way, the mission in action.
So I couldn't choose just one
That's
when
okay.
you asked that, but two quick ones. One of my favorite initiatives is Above the Influence Rally, ATI. We partner with Broward County Public School, CSC, really hundreds of organizations. I can't even name them all. And we showcase that students are making the right choices. And we want to celebrate all the students that are making the right choices. We use positive community norms, and we say that 4 out of 5 Broward High School students, based on surveys, are making the right healthy decisions. So we want to highlight that most students are not doing drugs. Most students are not vaping. Most students are not trying marijuana. Most students are not trying alcohol. So we incorporate this thousands of students rally called Above the Influence. This has other states have done this for a few years. We have done 9 of them. The last one we did was last March, and we're planning our 10th one for next school year. And like I said, we have thousands of students participate, and there's an ATI medallion program that goes on throughout the year, once again, highlighting students that are doing the right thing. And the second thing is Youth Leadership Institute, which I also help facilitate. This happens every June. It's been going on for over 30 years, and it's peer-to-peer. And so one of the things that you said, how does this kind of show our mission in action, is we are not only are highlighting the students doing the right thing, but it's student-led, adult-guided, and the students are the ones giving the presentations to the other students.
Excellent. Excellent. Is that what we did together in the Museum of Discovery?
That was a little different. The Museum of Discovery, I love that. I actually did research. It was the MODS Wellness and Prevention Day back in September of 2022. And every year, every other year, they bring in partners such as me and you to really highlight a free day for the community to come in to talk about wellness. So that's what that day was at the Museum of Discovery and Science that we did together.
Yeah, and that was exciting. Like the stuff that we've done together, the alternative spring break program, the work at MOD, that was also really awesome. But if you can, from your vantage point, how do you personally work with community partners like us, but there's others that you partner with? Schools, it sounds like you partner a lot with the school system and folks from the schools, or service providers, to move these initiatives forward.
Great question. So collaboration really is key. I cannot take credit for this. One of the main organizations that globally works with coalitions is called CADCA. They used to stand for Community Anti-Drug Coalitions of America. And they have identified 12 key community sectors that are essential for building effective, comprehensive drug prevention coalitions. These sectors ensure diverse representation, including law enforcement, youth, media, schools, and healthcare. This helps us implement community-level changes, reducing youth substance use, and address local risk factors. So there are 12 different sectors. I'll quickly name them. I was originally honestly going to name all the organizations in each sector, but that would honestly be the hour podcast because we partner with so many. So I'm just going to tell you the 12 sectors, and just note that in each of these sectors, we have dozens, if not hundreds, of them. And just so you know, there's also something called the Drug-Free Communities Grant. It's a 10-year program. My organization had it many years ago. Back when I was in New York, coalition I worked for, we had it as well. And this is still going on today. So the 12 sectors really quickly are youth, which obviously we spoke about already, parents, businesses and business owners, media, schools, youth serving organizations, law enforcement agents. We work really closely with the Broward Sheriff's Office, BSO. And another program my agency does is CIT, Crisis Intervention Training. Then, of course, we have religious or fraternal organizations, civic or volunteer groups, healthcare professionals and organizations, state, local, or tribal government agencies, and last but certainly not least, other organizations involving in reducing substance abuse. So like I said, in each of these 12 sectors, this is key to coalition work. And that is what we are so lucky in Broward to have and do.
Yes, yes, that's quite a list of people and agencies, and that's also amazing. So that means that your reach is far, right? Let me ask this last question, and it's about impact and what keeps you going. So in the work that you do, what moments or outcomes have stood out as especially meaningful to you? And what continues to motivate your commitment to this work?
Great question. It definitely takes patience. They say that community change usually takes about a decade. And I really love to report that the data, especially in Broward County, has really reflect that. So we have had a decrease in overdose deaths in Broward County, a decrease in use in alcohol, so much so that I'm sure you could see all the reports that these million-dollar alcohol companies, they're actually upset because less people are drinking alcohol, they're making less money. This is such an amazing thing that really shows that all the work the past few decades have really shown that. So there's actually a decrease in electronic cigarettes and vaping use.
Wow,
And
that's great.
every training or education or event that we do, we always survey to see how our event went. And for me, one of the things that really keeps me in prevention work and that I love is I'm so privileged that I get to work with, like I said, the middle school and high school students. Really, I always say I work with the leaders of today. So they're the leaders of right now. And to get to witness that, I used to work with a middle school student the past 5 years. He just graduated this past June. But the transformation of someone who barely spoke, who then became the president of the Broward Youth Coalition and spoke then at every event the past 2 years, to me, that's what my passion is. And just watching that, seeing the data reflect that is really so important. And I know you do this as well, and many people who are just on here, we really are changing lives.
Mm,
And so what keeps me going, and if you want to show, I know we have it for everyone to remember, is you never realize what kind of life you're going to touch. I know together at the Mods Museum, we were talking about suicide prevention, and you could talk more about it, but really how someone came up to you and said that they were having suicidal thoughts, and you potentially saved that life. And we're really saving lives on a daily basis without even maybe knowing. And so anyone here, I always want to say that if you uh, maybe have anything going on in your life or someone else, that there's resources available. We're so lucky in Broward County. Thank you for pulling that up, that you could call 211 24/7, and anywhere in the nation, all 48 states, you could call or text 24/7 988. So really important, 988, help spread the word. This is completely free, 24/7, no matter what age you are, anywhere in the country for 988. And we're really special in Broward County. We have 211.
awesome, and I'll show that later again in the episode. But yeah, I was gonna say at the Museum of Discovery, we did the suicide prevention, and I don't know if you remember Jenna or not. I know I did this with Dr. Maribel Del Rio. Actually, Dr. Del Rio helped co-facilitate that one with me, and with Stage for Change, my students who were the actors. But we were getting ready. We had done a lot of prep. Every single time we do a program, there's a lot of prep involved, and we had to get there early and set up and all of that stuff. And then you start like seeing the audience, and you see like there's not a lot of people. I mean, there wasn't that many people. And it's interesting because I think that maybe people got turned off to the topic. So they were like, oh, suicide prevention. No, I'm not in the mood for that kind of thing, right? So we were starting to feel a little down about lack of participation, lack of attendees, for the performance. So we did our thing, and it was over, and it was well received, right? And it wasn't that many people in the room, but one woman came up to us afterwards and said to us, and like this is the part that for me the biggest takeaway was from my students to hear this, right? I know what we're doing is good stuff, right? But for them to see that this is good stuff, and that we're, even if we can save one life, that's all that matters. So the woman was saying that she was on her way to the event, and she was overwhelmed with life and whatever was going on for her, and that she actually felt like driving, like what if I drive the car like off the road? And she said, I didn't realize I didn't realize it until we came to this program that that's not how I don't have to sit there with that. I don't have to sit there with those feelings, that I can do something about it and that I should seek help. And I was like blown away. I mean, she was crying, we were crying. It was like, oh my gosh, this is why we do the work that we do. And even if we just touch one. And so, yeah, that was, it's so funny that you were thinking of that. We didn't even talk about it. That was what came to your mind as potent and powerful, for sure, saving lives. I'd like to bring on, if it's all right, I'd like to bring on Dr. Maria Levy-Minzy, and bring her into the conversation. She's been absolutely instrumental. Let me spotlight her. She's instrumental in this collaboration. She introduced us, actually. So I'm forever grateful to Dr. Maria Levy-Minzy, Associate Professor and Lead Faculty for the MHS in Child Protection. She was the connector who first introduced me to Jenna and the United Way, and she continues to play a pivotal role in our alternative spring break initiatives and program assessment work. So, Maria, welcome to Investigation with Dr. T. Thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. And yeah, you've been instrumental. But from your perspective, because you were the lead person. I know I was the PI, but you were the lead on the application for the Quality of Life grant. And I really consider you to be the lead, and I learned from you constantly about
We
what
worked
it.
it, we did it all together.
I
I'm very
know, but
happy to
look,
be here.
you're a true scientist. Forget it. Me, I'm an entertainer. Ask anybody. But the truth is that you're the scientist in the room. So tell us a little bit about like what makes this partnership especially impactful for our students, for students in the community and the communities we serve.
I mean, it really, I feel like, has a monumental impact. I'm so grateful that I could be connected to the United Way. And I honestly really started my own connection because I was working as part of a team that was doing Broward briefings. And we were taking the data from Broward County and we were coming up with like these monthly kind of briefings about different substance use issues and mental health issues in the community. And that was how I got exposed to the Board of Governors and the different task forces. I'm maybe not calling them right. I'm sorry, Jenna, I'm not calling them right, but the different surveillance committees and committees that are working in the community that she was talking about earlier. And there's so many of them for so many different areas. And I just feel like the people that live in this area are so lucky to have these people that want to bring these connections together. You know, they care about youth, they care about the elderly, they care about in utero babies, right? Talking about the importance of prenatal care and educating people about prenatal care. So starting, with prenatal care all the way to the elderly, right? Because they provide services for everybody and the youth outreach that they do. So there's just so many programs in the community and they're partnered with all of the right resources. They're partnered with the sheriff's department, they're partnered with, the other police agencies. I'm just grateful that I got this connection because it's allowed me to, kind of learn about what's going on in Broward County. Like I might not be out there, but you have all these different teams that are working and doing really important work, helping people to connect with services. And I just think about the places that are not as fortunate to have these kinds of services available. And to have someone like Jenna, who really is like this connector, like she's the liaison, she brings everybody together and she really cares about youth and really does just like and finds things that are innovative and special and brings that to the different Broward schools, to all the different youth in the community. And I think it's just really important work that she does. And so I'm really just, I don't know if I really answered your question, but I'm just really grateful that I've had the opportunity really to work with you over the years. And I just really love this collaboration and partnership and hope that it's able to continue, long, just keep it going because, you were you learned about the sociodrama program and really, loved it, and you kind of brought us into to the alternative spring break and some of the other activities that you do because you saw the value in it. And I just, I'm grateful for that.
Great, thank you. And we've been talking a little bit about sociodrama, and I don't know if any of our viewers even know what we're talking about, but it's educational theater. It's raising awareness, it's educating, it's prevention work, it's mitigation work, using theater. And its roots are from Augusto Boal, which is Theater of the Oppressed work in New York, actually, is where I first discovered this type of modality. And Stage for Change is a student organization. It's an undergrad organization, but we also have some graduates that are part of it still. And we're really seeking new recruits for this because a lot of my core group have graduated. And Eddie is my project manager, and he's the president right now. He's the president of Stage for Change, but he will be graduating. And then it's just sort of like we have one or two folks left to really hold up the whole thing. And as you know, we need a lot more than that to do the work. So if you can hear my voice and you're listening and you're an undergrad, especially undergrad, because it's an in-person on-ground thing. And if you're interested, just reach out to me, gt243@nova.edu, and I'll hook you up with Stage for Change. So that's who we've been partnering with also. And that's really how we've been delivering some of the programming for the alternative spring break, for the mods thing. But let me shift for a minute to Maria, and ask you if you can weigh in a little bit on not. I don't want to sound like Nancy Reagan now. Remember Nancy Reagan, and that's before your time. The two of you
It's
are
not
like,
before my
what?
time.
What? Oh my God.
No.
Well, some of our students are like, who's that? But
Just say
anyway,
no.
just say no when it was this whole, the war on drugs, right? But let's just really talk about scientifically, because we do still believe in science. I think they haven't done away with that yet. They haven't made that illegal. However, anyway, keep it moving. Tell us a little bit about how marijuana, edibles particularly, can be really impactful on a child's development, or how can it stunt the growth or the development? If you can, just for a minute, talk about the science of this, and then we'll come back to the discussion.
Well, Jenna mentioned it, actually. So the brain is not fully developed. They used to say 25, now it's more like 26 or 27. They're kind of modifying that a little bit. Um, and I think this really highlights why the work with youth is so important in particular, because what we do know is that marijuana modifies the brain development. So we know that, and that's why there's such an emphasis on educating youth about the use of marijuana, because it's very accessible. Even though we live in Florida, which is a place where it's not recreationally legal, right? It's legal recreationally in a lot of other states. And quite frankly, it's pretty easy to get access to it. It's like Jenna said, if somebody has, a prescription card, and like your parent has a card, you can get a card for migraines, PTSD, I mean, kind of anything. So you can really have very easy access to very strong marijuana.
I mean, you could also go just walk into any smoke shop and just buy it. Can you
I
not?
don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't think you can buy certain products that may contain CBD. I don't think you can
And
buy high
THC
potent
and
THC. You can?
THC Delta 9,
Oh, Delta 9. Okay, so you can. So why
100%.
I think it's so important that the emphasis that the commission is has on substance use among youth, because since the brain is not fully developed, the everything that happens to you during your developmental periods has an impact on how your brain develops. And so if you are smoking marijuana while your brain is developing, it doesn't develop normally. It develops different kind of pathways that another brain wouldn't develop. And so that's why it's like, oh my goodness gracious, like this brain is not going to develop normally with regular marijuana use. It's going to change the way that the brain is, the chemistry of the brain and the way that the brain works. And that's what science tells us. If you look at the MRIs and the brain scans of, kids that were using marijuana regularly, you can go on like the SAMHSA website or the NIDA website. Well, it should still be, those kinds of things would be there, where they have a lot of education about that stuff, where you can see the difference in the brains, right? So that's something that we know. And so it's really important because the front part of the brain, which is our prefrontal cortex, is one of the last parts of the brain to mature. And that's the part of the brain that's responsible for like skills and planning and controlling and impulse control, right? And so sometimes we look at teens and we don't understand their behavior, but part of it is like you have to remember, like, don't treat them like they're adults. Their brains don't work the same way. And, they don't have the same impulse control that we have as adults. They don't have the ability to plan or prioritize the same way that adults do. So they're already at risk for engaging in risky behaviors because they don't have those parts of the brain solidified, right? So adolescents are already more likely to engage in risky behaviors without considering the potential results of those decisions that they're making. And so the more information that we can give them about, harm reduction or at least prevention, telling them, hey, this is going to have an impact on you. And it's not scare tactics. It's like science and facts. Like, hey, this is what a brain looks like when it's developing when there's marijuana use, and this is what it looks like when there's no marijuana use. And some of the parts of the brain don't light up the same way. So we do know that this is something that happens, and that's why there's such an emphasis on youth, because they are, their brains are actively developing, and they're already at risk for substance use, and they're more likely actually to develop substance use disorder. So it's really kind of something that you need to be mindful of and kind of keep on the radar. Like, and the earlier that teens start using substances, the greater their chances are for developing substance use disorder too later in life. So the early work that, Jenna's groups are doing, especially like in the middle schools and stuff like that, doing this kind of education is really, really important.
So Jenna, can you tell us what do you do for this specific issue in terms of raising awareness, educating, and not turning off kids? Because we don't want to turn them off either. We tell them no, you can't. This is your brain on drugs. This is remember with the omelet or the sunny side up eggs and what they
Yes.
did. It's just like one in one ear and out the other, right? So what initiatives or programming do you have that you do to address this?
Mhm. And I love what you said, Dr. Maria, about avoiding scare tactics. So we know, and what you're talking about, Dr. Telesco, we know what we did maybe in the 80s, 90s, and even early 2000s, honestly,
Well, how we were
didn't
taught,
work.
right, in health
Right,
class, like the
exactly.
way we were kind of like, you're gonna
And
die.
and you know what? That's okay, because basically what they say is the scare tactics, the education, you think about it that day and then you forget about it. So we now know that's why we avoid it, because we want people to remember, okay, I learned, and I'll tell you about the education, the learning. I learned this maybe a few weeks later. If I'm a middle school student, I don't know, I'm offered something from a friend, and now I know how to say no. So part of what we do is we're always going to increase protective factors and decrease risk factors. And how do we do that? One of our campaigns is Know the Facts. So first off, you never, ever, ever tell anyone, don't do drugs. I'm never going to tell you, don't try alcohol, don't try this edible marijuana. No, instead, I'm going to give you the facts and I want you to make the decision. I'm going to help you with refusal skills. And that's what I love. One of our social dramas we did together, if you remember a few years ago, was all about peer pressure and how do we say no? And part of that is working on anti-bullying that we do together also. Okay, someone's bullying you to try something. How do we then teach other students to help the other students if they're in that social situation? So to answer your question, which is what I studied for a few years for, giving you in like a 10-second snapshot, is you basically want to give youth the facts. We never want to tell them kind of what to do, just help them, guide them to decision. And part of that is talking about the brain development, the harmful effects. And that's why our campaign, like I said, is just know the facts. So this is what marijuana does to your body, and how do you want to live a healthy life, would would then cause you to hopefully say no to using those substances.
Great, great. So, I mean, I think we should come back and do this as a. Would you like to do that next season? Come back and just focus on this, just this. The both of you have both
Oh,
of
like
you come back.
substance abuse among youth?
Yeah, I think that would
Sure.
be really, really good if you want, if you're interested. Don't feel pressured because this is live streamed and being made public now. And it'll be like reviewed and reviewed and reviewed, and you'll feel like you have to say yes to me. But we'll
I'm
talk about
happy
it
to
off.
do, I'm happy to do it. I can talk about substance use disorder all
All
day.
right, good, good. Let's definitely do that.
You could sign me up. I'm in.
Okay, perfect. So let me ask this of both of you about assessment of the programs that we've done. Let's say alternative spring break, for example, where we have focused on the topics that we focused on have been peer pressure, have been suicide prevention, have been bullying, specifically bullying. I think we've done that a couple of times, and I think that's the one that we're going to be doing again in March, March 18th, actually, in Mailman Hollywood building. That's open to the public, right? Yeah. So I mean, if you want to like
Mhm.
note to self, everyone, Wednesday, March 18th, Mailman Hollywood building, second floor. It's the theater. At 12 o'clock, we're going to be doing a Stage for Change presentation with United Way. And Dr. Maria Levy Minzy will also be, she's actually finished the development of the assessment tool. But tell us a little bit about assessment, because I have a lot of my PhD students on, and we're always interested in program evaluation. We're interested in, what does the data say? I mean, these things sound really great to do, but are they really effective? And how do we know if they are? So, Maria, would you mind? And Jenna, you can also piggyback on it.
So what we like to do is figure out first where people start. So we like to do a pre-test, so sometimes and that's kind of part of the assessment process. Like, how can you know if a change was made if you don't know how they felt before they walked into the program? So part of it is kind of developing an assessment where whatever topic it is that you're looking for, you want to understand what does the audience know about that topic already? And what are their attitudes maybe about that topic? How do they feel about that topic? So that's kind of what we did for the sociodramas. And I just want to mention, so it is educational theater, like Dr. T said. And what that really means is it's you get to watch a role play take place. So you get to watch two actors engage in a discussion, but then Dr. T freezes the scene and it asks the audience, "Hey, what's going on here?" and engages the audience in a discussion. So it's not just like I watch this thing. No, it's interactive. They're part of it. The students are raising their hands and talking about what happened, and then sometimes what Dr. T will bring somebody in from the audience to come in and do it better or have a conversation or something. And the actual engagement in watching it, participating in the discussion, and then actually having somebody jump in from the audience and do it really is almost like solidifies the process and gives the students and the people watching the opportunity. They see the behavior is modeled in front of them. It's almost like the empty chair technique when you're a therapist, where you say, okay, if the person was here, tell me what you'd say to them if they're in the chair. So you're kind of almost like training them on how to how do I respond, what do I actually say? And that's what this technique allows you to do. So watching the sociodramas, I feel like, is very impactful. And we have found through the data collection that it has been very impactful. So what we would do is, like, for example, with the bullying, sociodramas that we've done, we do an attitude assessment before and we find out what are their attitudes about bullying. And we used an actual assessment tool that was developed and validated by a professor. It was called the bullying scale. And so we used questions from an already validated scale that was validated to use with middle school and high school students. So we use that as our assessment tool. And we first, before the program, we asked them what their attitudes were about bullying, how they felt about it, specific questions. And then after the sociodrama, we asked those same questions and we asked a couple of additional questions. What we found was that watching the interaction, watching the sociodrama, actually allowed the students' reactions toward bullying to improve, meaning they had an improvement in their attitude towards the victim. So that was really, really important that it showed that they could maybe see the mindset of the victim, what it was like to be victimized, how difficult it was maybe for them. And then they also got to see what it was like, on the bully side, right? And one of the questions that we asked was, as a result of watching the performance, did they feel like watching the performance would allow them to be more likely to intervene if they see somebody bullying? And all of this, everybody who took the survey said that it gave them felt like it gave them the confidence that they could intervene as a result of watching and participating in the program. So I feel like that was really powerful. Um, and it really kind of gave us the feeling that this is really, this is a useful tool. This, the sociodrama method is a great way to engage, especially youth, who can just sit there and be like, during a program, like, because you're getting the audience involved, you're talking to them, you're getting them to participate, and you're bringing them on stage and you're debriefing with them. And so that really, I think, helps to, and again, modeling the behavior, modeling how to confront somebody. And even during the discussions, we had discussions about how the youth could approach an adult in school to help also. So I really feel like assessment wise, like it's been successful with this. We've done several surveys now, and every time it seems to be very impactful.
And so, Jenna, how do we use this data? Because I know that this is not a question that we talked about before, but because I have a lot of people who are watching who are doctoral students, and to understand and appreciate the value, and I know they do already appreciate the value of data, but how does this data inform future programming?
Well, for my organization, data is key. Literally everything we do, all our action plans is always goes back to the data. And so for this, after every event I have, especially for Alternative Spring Break, the reason I love partnering with you and doing a social drama, I'm so excited for the next one next month, is I'll just read data from the last one. 17 out of our 18 students said they would attend a social drama again and recommend the performance to a friend to watch. So that just tells me in itself. And then some that's quantity data. Some qualitative data is I have seen in person after so many different social dramas we've done together, your Alternative Break, we also invite the families. So it's the parents and the students watching it together. These are conversations, discussions that they would not have had if they did not see the social drama together. That's one of my favorite things, especially when we did the Pompano Beach Town Hall together last year. I want to mention that the interaction between some of the parents and the students, the discussions that they had right there on the spot, they have told me that they would have not have had if they did not watch a social drama. And for anyone who has never witnessed a social drama, one of the reasons that I love to partner and do so many social dramas for, like I said, not just the students, also the parents, but for everyone, is it is so interactive. We do have a lot of educational events that I do. And time again, everyone always says they would see a social drama again, one, for the data, but two, the interaction, how the audience goes on the stage it's just really something unique and special. So I want to say to everyone that if you've never seen, Stage for Change social drama, that you have to see one, because to describe it is almost kind of hard, even to my colleagues. I'm telling all of them how they have to come March 18th. I have a sign up that's going to start again soon. Shameless plug for everyone. But
good.
because to witness, we have a lot of, just yesterday I had a summit for 250 people. We had a panelist conversation. We had a keynote. It was really great. But bringing a social drama is just a different level, next level for that interaction when you have that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So that we're plugging away at Stage for Change here. Thank you so much for that. We really, it's not been easy to drum up the business. It's not been easy recruiting new members. And I fear that Stage for Change may become extinct if we don't fill the shoes of the predecessors who are graduating or who already have graduated. It would really be a shame to not have this modality anymore. Or we might have to do it differently. But in any event, if anybody is watching and they're interested in this great work, please contact me. Maria, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that you're out of town. Thank you for doing this for us. We so much appreciate it. Jenna, I love you. I love you too, Maria, but I love you, Jen. I love you both. And I love working together with you both it's one of the best things about being here at NSU is the collaboration between agencies like United Way, people like Jenna Stein, and my colleague like Dr. Maria Levy-Minzy. So thank you both again for being here. So appreciate it. And I think that I should totally share again this, right? That's the kind of an announcement for these resources that are available. I don't know if you guys are seeing that right now. I hope you are. Okay. So that remember that this resource is available 24/7 for anyone of any age in Broward County. And you could also call 211 for the national suicide, and for the crisis hotline, you can call 988. Okay, great. Thank you. So thank you both for being here. I just have I have a couple of comments from the room, and I'll have Tom do one last question. But Jamie McCarthy, who is a doctoral student, says the programs I've learned about here on Investigation with Dr. T, I so wish were done more in my area. People who actually care and take these resources to the people are what makes this world better, and this work matters. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for saying that. Tom, you have your hand up. Oh, actually, Tom and Jennifer. So I'm going to ask you if you don't mind, Tom, to do it. If you can do it live, let me give you permission. And just let us know who you would like to direct the question to. Go ahead, Tom. You're on.
My question was for Jenna. You did touch on it some, especially with the 211 program, but I was asking what kind of programs you have with law enforcement.
Yeah, so we partner with law enforcement. We have so many different programs. One is Project Empower, which is for youth to have positive engagement with law enforcement. Another one is Crisis Intervention Training. This is done throughout Broward, Miami, and really all of the nation. They have a special program where they actually give a week-long course all about kind of like mental health and really how to talk to civilians when you're in law enforcement. And there's so many other different ways that we interact with them. But that's like the main two programs that my agency does to partner with law enforcement.
Great. Thanks, Tom. Good question. Jennifer, you're on. I gave you mic privileges, and I think this question is going to go to Dr. Maria Levy-Minzy. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. T. I would love to be able to watch a recording of the sociodrama just to clearly understand this process. but my question was about the assessment. Is there any longitudinal data available to see if the lessons of the sociodrama were sustained over time?
There is not, unfortunately, since we're dealing with minors, middle school and high school students, they're considered a vulnerable population in research. So, for the purpose of the alternative spring break, we had the parents sign a consent form, but we didn't collect any identifying information from the students other than assigning them a number that they were. So we used the number to match their pre and post test results. But when you're dealing with minors, sometimes it's more difficult to, to be able for me to be able to contact them like, 6 months or a year later. It makes it a little bit more complicated to get approvals to do that kind of research. So for us, it was just, you know, making it like more anonymous. So we don't have that data, unfortunately. But it's definitely something that I would like to be able to do potentially with the college students, because if we are able to maybe do it with some of the college students that, when Dr. T does programs for the college students, we can absolutely collect that information because when they're over 18, they're adults and they're consenting. And so it's easier to get their consent to be able to, contact them down the line. But I will say, Jennifer, that sometimes it's very difficult to get people to respond 6 months later. Unless you provide an incentive, like a $5 gift card or something, it may be hard to get a hold of them for them to actually like answer your follow-up survey. So
Right.
that's just something that's just a
Good.
general challenge with field research.
All right. Well, thank you both for being here. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you and look forward to seeing you next month, Jenna and Maria. See you soon. And actually, the March 18th, we have Dr. Maribel Del Rio is going to help facilitate that with me. So that's going to be awesome and fun. So thank you guys for being here. Appreciate your work. Keep on doing what you're doing. You are making a difference and you are saving and changing lives. I have no doubt about it. So thank you again. And what I want to do is I'm going to do a little bit of I'm going to do a shameless plug for myself. Okay. You guys hopefully don't mind that I'm going to do that. But what I do want to say to the viewers, to my students and anybody else who's joining is that we're off for 2 weeks now. So we have midterms next week. So we're not no investigation with Dr. T next week. And then the week after is spring break. And besides that, I'm going to be in Philadelphia at the Academy of Criminal Justice Sciences presenting about sociodrama. So that's going to be cool. So we won't be back until March 12th. But I did want to just use this time, if I can, if you guys don't mind. I'd like to use this right now for a commercial. All right. And this is for our students to think about.
Imagine stepping into a crime scene, knowing exactly what to look for. Learn how to secure and document crime scenes with precision, and unlock the secrets of bloodstain patterns. Get hands-on with trace evidence and DNA collection, and become an expert in crime scene reconstruction. You'll engage in real-world exercises from mock crime scenes to case studies, and by the end of it all, you'll ace a final investigation. Walk away with a certificate of completion and the confidence to pursue a career in law enforcement, forensic science, or criminal investigations. Join us and turn your passion for crime into a career.
So again, you guys can totally reach out to me if you want. You can reach out to me at gt243@nova.edu, and I can tell you how you can sign up for that. If you didn't get a chance to see the webinar ID and the passcode and all of that, I will share again with you. I'm just going to share this little piece here, right here. And everybody sees that, hopefully. I'll leave that up there for a while. This is a Crime Scene X virtual edition. It's a webinar online. There's no limit to however many attendees we get. It's going to be presented by Dr. Sharon Plotkin. She's from Miami-Dade College. She is a forensic expert. This is an Alpha Phi Sigma, both of our chapters, Omega Tau, which is NSU, and Miami-Dades, which is Pi Beta Theta. So it's Alpha Phi Sigma. It's the two schools of criminal justice, Miami-Dade and NSU, partnering for this virtual online recognizing bloodstain patterns at crime scenes workshop. And it's free. And if you attend the whole thing, at the end, you get a certificate. And so I'm hoping that everybody can see this. Maybe I'll make this a little bit larger so that you can copy the webinar ID. Is everybody seeing that now? Hopefully you're seeing it nice and large. It's webinar ID 882-4438-5028. And the passcode is 510939. And that's it. That's my shameless plug. Thank you again, Jenna and Maria, for being with us tonight. We appreciate all that you do in the world, making things just a little bit easier for people in a very tense world these days. So I'd like to thank these two medicine women, because that's what you both are. You provide medicine to the masses. So thanks again, and we appreciate you. Good night, everybody. And we'll see you in 2 very, very short weeks.